Hello, my name is Curtis. I'm hoping that everybody's having a wonderful day. So, I wanted to talk about what's been happening with Stellar Blade and the fact that the West seems to pretty much, well, at least predominantly coming from the West, seems to have a phobia against breast, especially the skin of the breast being shown, such as the cleavage, under boob, side boob. There really seems to be this idea that, and having exposing the skin of the breast is a horrible thing. And I really think that's because they do that because they censor the skin of the breast, the cleavage, and any side boob or under boob to be shown because the West is really forcing and trying to indoctrinate as well as trying to force people to comply and conform their own personal beliefs. And what they're doing that is, and how they're going by that is, and using media and entertainment to cause people to conform by silencing, censoring, and excluding certain preferences that's not helping the woke agenda or the woke narrative to be pushed within Western culture and society. So there really seems to be like a phobia against certain areas of the breast being exposed when it comes to the skin. And it really seems to be around areas that show cleavage, side boob, and under boob. And the West really seems to be really focused on making sure that areas of around the breast are not being exposed or any skin's being shown. And I think, like I said, it's really because of this woke feminist ideology that's being pushed by woke feminists. And I think it's basically because they want to make sure, especially in the media entertainment, that the only preference and the only ideology that's being represented and being pushed is transgenderism. And what I mean by transgenderism is to really, and get people to have any personal preference or beliefs that might be really against the acceptance and inclusion of transgenders. It seems like if anybody has any kind of personal preference or belief that's not really that doesn't really have any acceptance of transgenderism, especially in the West, they want to find whatever way or means that they can use to subvert that, to silence it, and exclude, those personal preferences, opinions, and beliefs. So, it seems like they're really doing what they can to attack female video game characters, or really any character that has a large bosom or ample breast. And, whether it's reducing the breast size is also, making sure that they're also covered up so there's no skin being revealed, such as the cleavage, side boob, and under boob. And it's really, I think they do that is because they're trying to push this acceptance of transgenderism, and really to try and push this ideology and push a narrative and do whatever they can to exclude, to silence, and suppress any kind of personal preference, belief, or opinion that isn't really very supportive of woke ideology, with their idea and their concepts and their beliefs of acceptance of transgenders. Now, I'm not really against anybody that's obese or is a transgender or that's gay, but I really don't appreciate the fact that it's being thrust and forced on people to have their personal opinions, beliefs, and preferences silenced or excluded from content or from it being able to be expressed through freedom of expression because they want it doesn't kind of like align with the woke feminist ideology, that it doesn't really support the narrative they're trying to push. So like it's why you're seeing with a lot of games such as Stellar Blade and really any other game such as even like Final Fantasy, and why they're always trying to either reduce the breast or why they're always trying to cover up any skin being exposed, whether it's the cleavage, side boob, or under boob. And and it's really because I think and the people that are transitioning are and a lot of and men. I'm not gonna say it's all men trying to transition into being a woman because they identify that way, and because I'm not saying that. There's probably also women that are trying to transgender into being a man because that's how they feel. But it's mostly predominantly men at trying to transition into being a woman. So I think that's why the West is really pushing this idea that women can't have not just voluptuous curves, but as well can have breasts, because it seems like breasts, especially if breasts are being exposed with any skin or any skin showing on the breasts, that somehow that alone is kind of like a middle finger to woke ideology when it comes to them trying to push this woke ideology by woke feminists. Because like I said, most people that are trying to transition are men trying to transition the woman because they feel like they're a woman. In video games where there's characters that have any kind of exposed skin of the breast is something that how can I say this? It's something that is almost like it's inherently against the woke narrative, that is like against in the woke movement, and that's why it's like they almost always have to exclude or suppress the breast and making sure that skin isn't being shown, because it's almost like inherently against the woke agenda, against the woke narrative, and the woke individual is trying to push the woke ideology. So like that's why you're seeing that whenever there is kind of any censorship, it's always around the breast. And it's either, like I said, censoring or excluding, such as and trying to make sure that there's as much games as possible, coming out with no jiggle physics, and why there's always clothing around as much of the breast as possible to make sure that no skin's being revealed. And I think the reason why this is happening is, like I said, woke ideology that's trying to show solidarity and support for transgenders that are trying to transition. But it's because, like I said, it's mostly men that are trying to transition into women, even though biologically they're not, and they're transitioning because it's more not by biological facts, but by through an chemical response in their brain being caused from the individual's emotions. So this is pretty much what's happening. The attack on female video game characters having breast or exposing skin is like inherently against the woke narrative, and the woke don't like that. So they're always trying to do whatever they can to either exclude or censor that specific area of any female video game character. This one's going to be a very short video. I'm just going to post the 3 stages of censorship, but I want to kind of explain why. Whenever there's a female video game character, the one thing that seems to typically always be censored or excluded is jiggle physics and any skin being exposed when it comes to the breast, because it's inherently against the woke narrative that woke individuals are trying to push when it comes to woke ideology. And and that's why you see that in Tifa Lockhart, the one area that got censored the most was the breast. Why Ada Wong the one area that got censored the most was the breast, and why E from Stellar Blade, why the area that got censored the most was the breast. And like I said, it's always either excluding jiggle physics or covering up the breast in as much clothing as possible to make sure that no skin's being revealed. Whether if it's the cleavage, side boob, or under boob.